Listen, I'm gonna cut straight to it because everyone's dancing around what we all see happening right in front of us. The Cleveland Browns are about to fumble the bag so hard, it'll be studied in business schools as a case study on how not to run a franchise. And Deion Sanders, man, he's already 3 steps ahead, playing chess while they're still trying to figure out checkers. You want to know what's really going on here? It's not complicated. Shedeur Sanders is the real deal, a legitimate franchise quarterback who's been groomed by one of the greatest athletes to ever lace up cleats. And Cleveland's out here treating him like he's some project player they found in the 5th round. That's disrespect, plain and simple. And if there's one thing Deion Sanders doesn't tolerate, it's disrespect toward his family. Think about what we witnessed at Colorado. That program was dead in the water, completely irrelevant, not even a footnote in college football conversations. Then Prime rolls in with those boots, those shades, that energy, and suddenly Colorado's must-see television. Every game matters. Every press conference goes viral. Social media can't get enough. That's not luck. That's the Deion effect. He doesn't just coach football. He creates moments, builds narratives, and turns unknowns into superstars overnight. And right in the center of all that chaos and glory was Shedeur, cool as the other side of the pillow, slinging passes like he was playing a different sport than everyone else. The kid wasn't just running an offense, he was conducting a symphony. Every throw had purpose, every decision was calculated, every game felt like he was proving something to somebody. That's not average quarterback play, that's elite mentality wrapped in next level talent. But here's where it gets interesting. The Browns have this weird pattern, right? They cycle through quarterbacks faster than most people change their oil. It's almost impressive how consistently they mess it up. You'd think after 2 decades of failure, someone in that front office would realize their approach is fundamentally broken. But nope, same mistakes, different jersey numbers, year after year after year. It's exhausting just watching it from the outside. Now imagine being Shedeur, watching that disaster unfold, knowing they're interested in you. Would you be excited? Would you be thinking, yeah, that's where I want to build my legacy? Of course not. You'd be terrified because Cleveland doesn't develop quarterbacks. They destroy them. They take talented players with real potential and grind them down until there's nothing left but broken confidence and what ifs. Deion sees all of this crystal clear. He's not some starry-eyed parent who thinks his kid can do no wrong. Prime's been in the NFL, lived through the politics, dealt with the pressure, experienced both the glory and the nonsense. He knows exactly what it takes to succeed at that level, and more importantly, he knows what destroys careers before they even start. And everything about Cleveland screams career killer. People keep asking why Deion's being so protective, like it's some controversial stance. Are you kidding? What father wouldn't protect his son from walking into a burning building? That's essentially what Cleveland represents right now, a franchise fire that's been burning for 20 plus years with no end in sight. They've burned through coaches, general managers, quarterbacks, everyone. Nothing works, nothing sticks. It's dysfunction at an institutional level. Meanwhile, back at Colorado, Shedeur's thriving. He's got the spotlight, the respect, the system designed specifically around his strengths. He's making NIL money that some NFL rookies would envy. His brand is growing, his game is developing, and he's doing it all in an environment where he's genuinely valued. Why on earth would he trade that for Cleveland's chaos? It makes zero sense from any angle you examine it. But let's talk about what Deion really brings to the table as a coach and mentor. This isn't some guy who lucked into a famous kid and rode those coattails. Prime built Shedeur from the ground up, taught him how to read defenses when other kids were still learning multiplication tables. Every aspect of Shedeur's game has Deion's fingerprints all over it. The footwork, the pocket presence, the decision making, all of it was deliberately crafted over years of intensive training. That's an advantage no other quarterback in this draft class possesses. While everyone else is trying to adjust to new coaching staffs, new offensive systems, new everything, Shedeur could theoretically walk into an NFL situation with his father and immediately operate at full capacity. No learning curve, no adjustment period, just plug and play excellence from day one. That's a competitive edge you literally cannot replicate with any other player-coach combination. And think about what that means for team chemistry. Other organizations spend months, sometimes years, trying to build trust between quarterbacks and coaching staffs. There's always this feeling out process, this dance where both sides are trying to figure each other out. But Deion and Shedeur, that trust is already bulletproof. They've been through wars together, celebrated victories, survived crushing defeats, and come out stronger every single time. That bond translates to the field in ways most people don't fully appreciate. When the game's on the line, when pressure's at its peak, when everything's breaking down around them, Shedeur would just need one glance at his father on the sideline to steady himself. That's not just coaching, that's a superpower, and Cleveland wants to take that away, separate them, and throw Shedeur into their grinder. Yeah, good luck with that, but here's what really drives me crazy about this whole situation. The Browns are acting like they're doing Shedeur some kind of favor by being interested, like he should be grateful they're even considering him. That's backwards thinking at its finest. Shedeur Sanders isn't chasing the NFL. The NFL should be chasing him. Teams should be restructuring their entire organizations just for a chance to land him. That's how rare this kind of talent combined with this kind of preparation actually is. Instead, Cleveland's out here playing games, showing lukewarm interest, treating him like option 3 or 4 on their list. That's not how you land a franchise quarterback. That's how you end up with another bust and another wasted season. Deion sees right through it. He's watched the league long enough to know when a team is serious versus when they're just checking boxes and hoping for the best. And let's be honest about something else. The Browns don't have a culture that develops young talent effectively. They have a culture of panic, of knee-jerk reactions, of blowing everything up every 2 years when things don't immediately work. That's not an environment where a young quarterback can grow and make mistakes and learn from them. That's an environment where one bad quarter gets you benched and 2 bad games gets you traded. Shedeur deserves better than that. He deserves an organization that believes in him completely, that builds around his strengths, that gives him the time and space to develop into the superstar everyone knows he can become. Cleveland can't offer that. They've proven over and over they can't offer that. Their track record speaks for itself, and it's screaming run away as fast as possible. Now imagine the alternative. Imagine Shedeur staying at Colorado for another year, continuing to build his brand, continuing to develop under Deion's guidance, continuing to dominate in a system perfectly designed for him. His draft stock doesn't fall, it rises. His value doesn't decrease, it skyrockets. And most importantly, he maintains control over his destiny, instead of surrendering it to a franchise that historically destroys everyone who walks through their doors. That's the play Deion's making here. He's not being difficult, he's being strategic, he's not being overprotective, he's being smart. Everything Prime does is calculated to maximize Shedeur's success, both on and off the field. And if that means avoiding Cleveland, then yeah, they're avoiding Cleveland. No apologies, no regrets. Just cold hard business sense wrapped in fatherly love. People also forget that Deion's been doubted his entire life. When he said he'd be the best defensive back in NFL history, they laughed. When he said he'd play 2 sports professionally, they said impossible. When he took the Colorado job, critics said he'd fail miserably within 2 seasons. And every single time, Prime proved them wrong with style, with flash, with undeniable results that shut everyone up. So when he says Cleveland isn't the right fit for Shedeur, maybe, just maybe, people should listen, because Deion's track record of being right about football is pretty much flawless. He understands the game at levels most coaches never reach. He sees things others miss. And right now, he's seeing a trap disguised as an opportunity, and he's steering his son clear of it. The Browns can keep talking, keep posturing, keep pretending they have a shot. Doesn't matter. The decision's already been made in Deion's mind, and once Prime decides something, it's done. There's no negotiating, no compromising, no changing his mind. He moves with conviction and purpose, and right now that conviction is telling him Cleveland equals disaster. What's wild is how predictable this all is if you've been paying attention. Deion telegraphed this move months ago with subtle comments, with body language, with the way he talks about NFL organizations. He's been setting the stage, preparing everyone for the moment when he'd have to explicitly say no to certain teams. And Cleveland, with their dysfunction and disrespect, made themselves an easy target. But beyond all the Cleveland drama, there's a bigger point here. Shedeur Sanders represents something the NFL desperately needs, a young quarterback who's actually ready for the moment. Not physically ready, everyone's physically ready these days. Mentally ready, emotionally ready, ready to handle the pressure, the scrutiny, the weight of an entire franchise on his shoulders. That's rare, especially for someone so young. Most rookies, even the talented ones, need years to develop that mental toughness. They struggle with the speed of the game, the complexity of NFL defenses, the constant media attention. But Shedeur, he's been living in that world his entire life. The spotlight doesn't scare him, it energizes him. The pressure doesn't break him, it sharpens him. He's he's built different because he was raised different, and that's entirely because of Deion's influence. Prime didn't just teach his son how to throw a football, he taught him how to be a professional, how to handle adversity, how to turn criticism into motivation. Those lessons are priceless, and they're why Shedeur carries himself with a confidence that most quarterbacks take a decade to develop. He already knows who he is and what he's capable of. That self-awareness is powerful. So when you put all these pieces together, the disrespect from Cleveland, the perfect situation at Colorado, the father-son dynamic, Deion's protective instincts, it all points in one direction. Shedeur's not ending up with the Browns. It's not happening. Deion won't allow it, and honestly, Shedeur's smart enough to see it himself. Instead, what we're watching is a masterclass in leverage and positioning. Deion's using this moment to send messages to every NFL team. He's establishing boundaries, setting standards, making it clear that dealing with Shedeur means dealing with him too. And any organization that has a problem with that can move along because there will be plenty of others willing to play by those rules for a chance at landing a generational talent. The Browns are just the most obvious example of what not to do. They're the cautionary tale, the warning sign, the bright red flag that says this is what happens when you don't respect the process or the people involved. Other teams are watching and learning. The smart ones are taking notes, figuring out how to approach Deion and Shedeur the right way. The dumb ones will make the same mistakes Cleveland's making and get the same result, absolutely nothing. What happens next is probably the most interesting part. Does Cleveland double down, try to prove they're serious, make some grand gesture to win over Deion and Shedeur? Or do they cut their losses, move on, and continue their endless search for a quarterback who can actually save their franchise? My money's on the latter because organizational pride is a powerful thing, and admitting Deion Sanders was right about them would be too much for their ego to handle. Meanwhile, Shedeur keeps doing what he does best, playing incredible football, building his brand, stacking wins both on and off the field. Every touchdown pass is another reminder of what Cleveland won't be getting. Every endorsement deal is proof that staying at Colorado was the right call. Every highlight reel is validation of Deion's decision to protect his son from a toxic situation. And that's really what this all comes down to when you strip away the noise and the drama. A father protecting his son, a coach protecting his player, a legend protecting a legacy. It's that simple and that profound. Deion Sanders didn't rebuild his entire life, take a job he didn't need, and pour everything into Colorado just to watch Shedeur become another statistic in Cleveland's quarterback graveyard. The Browns had their shot. They could have approached this situation with respect, with humility, with genuine interest in building something special. Instead, they did what they always do, fumbled at the goal line, disrespected talent, and assumed their name alone would be enough. Well, surprise, it wasn't. Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders don't need Cleveland. Cleveland needs them, and they just lost their chance. So yeah, let this be a lesson to every NFL franchise watching. When primetime tells you no, he means it. When he says his son deserves better, believe him. And when he builds something special right in front of your eyes, don't disrespect it because you'll regret it. The Sanders dynasty is happening with or without the NFL's approval. Colorado's proof of that. And whatever comes next, wherever Shedeur eventually lands, it'll be on their terms, nobody else's. That's real power, that's real control, and that's exactly why Deion Sanders will always be 3 steps ahead of everyone else in the room.